The morning was a gray, featureless expanse. The sky, a leaden plate pressed down upon the city, smothering any semblance of hope. As I stepped out of my door, the world seemed to tilt, to shift beneath my feet. The familiar streets were twisted into a labyrinth of shadows, each corner a lurking danger. A cold wind whipped through my hair, carrying with it the distant mournful wail of a siren. I pulled my coat tighter around myself, but the chill seemed to seep into my bones, a gnawing discomfort that mirrored the turmoil within. My mind raced, a whirlwind of thoughts and images, each more bizarre than the last. The trees, once benign, seemed to watch me with malevolent eyes, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. As I walked, I felt a growing sense of dread. Every shadow seemed to conceal a threat, every noise a potential danger. The voices in my head grew louder, their whispers a constant hum that filled my ears. They taunted me, mocked me, accusing me of being a fraud, a charlatan. I tried to ignore them, to focus on the familiar landmarks, but it was futile. The world had become a hostile place, a battlefield where my sanity was the ultimate prize. I passed a small park, once a place of tranquility. Now it seemed to pulsate with a sinister energy. The benches, twisted and gnarled, appeared to writhe and contort before my eyes. A lone figure sat on a swing, his face obscured by the shadows. I felt a sudden urge to approach him, to seek solace in his solitude. But as I drew closer, he vanished, leaving behind only the faint echo of a chilling laugh. Finally, I reached the school. The familiar brick building offered a semblance of safety, a respite from the chaos outside. But as I entered, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The students, their faces blank and expressionless, seemed to regard me with a cold, calculating gaze. I hurried to my classroom, seeking refuge in the familiar routine. But even here, I couldn't escape the voices. They followed me, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked within. As I sat at my desk, I tried to focus on the lesson, but the words of the teacher were a meaningless jumble, a cacophony of sounds that had no meaning. The other students seemed to be engaged, their heads bent over their notebooks, but I knew they were watching me, whispering about the strange boy who heard voices. A sudden wave of nausea washed over me. I stood up and rushed out of the classroom, my heart pounding in my chest. I made my way to the bathroom, where I collapsed onto the cold, tiled floor. The voices in my head grew louder, more insistent. They told me I was a failure, a burden to the world. I should just end it all. As I lay there staring at the cracked, chipped tiles, I felt a cold, clammy hand on my shoulder. I looked up and there was the figure from the park, his face now clearly visible. His eyes were black, devoid of any emotion. He leaned in close and whispered, "It's time." I closed my eyes, accepting my fate. The world faded away, replaced by a darkness that seemed to swallow me whole.